like sorry if the like brightness of the sun looks weird in this video. I tried to film this video last night. I took a nap and then I slept for 7 hours on accident. So here we are. Hi guys, my name is Mayana and today I'm going to be talking about the lowest rated books that I've read so far this year. So I saw Kenya from Lily Reads do this video and I thought it was so fun. So I started like doing a list for myself for fun. I was like, why not just make the video? So here I am. Okay, so all the books that I have on here are books that have a 3-star average. So it's gonna go from the lowest 3-star to the highest 3-star, but they're only all 3 stars. So the first book I have is a book called Breakup from Hell. This book is sitting at a 3.25 star. I mainly think that this book is rated lowly just because it's not that popular. It was this YA book I read earlier this year about this girl who ends up like dating the devil, like, or the devil's son, I think, and she has to like get out of it. I thought it was okay. I think if you are religious you might like it a lot more, but for me I just didn't really like it because I kind of felt like it was mismarketed because she never really cared about the guy to begin with. Like, he was kind of like flirting with her and she was kind of just like whatever. Like, she wasn't really like, she didn't really care too much about him, so it just felt like the like description was misleading. The next book I have is a book called Get Even, which is a book that I actually just read like a few days ago. And this book is sitting at a 3.31 star, and I completely understand why. It's honestly not that good. I saw someone tweeted it and I was like, this sounds amazing. It's about this girl who finds out that her boyfriend cheated on her with her best friend, who's also her roommate. So she gets revenge by cheating on him with his brother and his roommate or best friend. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah. And then like she sends a picture to him and like she's just not satisfied with that, so she ends up like fake dating his enemy. And I was like, oh, like it just sounded good, but when I was reading it I kind of was just like it wasn't really that fun. She kept like, I get it, you got cheated on, but it was like brought up like every single chapter, and like she was just so driven by revenge. It was like, usually I love, but it just felt like, I don't know. And like she started doing things like simply out of revenge. Like, she ends up becoming best friends with this girl, and she generally only becomes best friends with the girl because she wanted to replace her ex-best friend. Like, I don't know, it just felt like corny, lame a bit. And also it has like this trigger warning for racism when I started, so I was like, what? Like, that's such a like strange thing to have a trigger warning from. But I didn't want that to like, I want to see like what it was, so that's why I kept reading. And it was really just like, her ex-best friend was like, oh, I can't believe you hang out with these people. And then the main character was like, ugh, I can't believe I was friends with her, like she's so racist. And I was just like, I mean, thank God it wasn't nothing traumatic, but you can tell the author's white. Magicians is the next book I have, and it's sitting at a 3.53 star. This copy has a lot of water damage because it's sitting on my book cart and my cat spilled water all over it. But The Magicians is one of my like all-time favorite TV shows, even though I haven't finished, but who cares. It's one of my all-time favorite TV shows, so I read the book to see how similar it was, and I can honestly understand why the book is kind of rated a little low, because the TV show is just a lot more fun. It's not a lot of changes, but the changes that they do make, I think, makes a big difference. And this book is like, it's described as like Harry Potter but for adults, but I just don't see that. Like, yeah, they go to a magic school, but I don't think a magic school like makes a book Harry Potter like, you know. Like, to me this book is like I want to say The Lion and the Witch in the Wardrobe so bad because I cannot remember the name, but yeah, that series. It's more so like that because it's about this guy who ends up finding out that the college that he wants to look, well, he ends up finding, okay, so this guy, he's obsessed with this like children's book, which is weird enough because like he's a grown man. I mean, like, he's like 18, but he's a grown man, and he's like obsessed with these children books. And he ends up like going to take this test, and he ends up finding out that like it's a test for a magic school, and he ends up going to this magic school and finding out that the world that he was obsessed with is real. It's not the world that like the children's book isn't like the school he goes to or anything, but he ends up finding out that it's real, and one of the villains from this children's book is actually like real, and it's after him and his like newfound friends that he makes, and it's like a found family, by the way. And I really like this because I really like how it all ties together. Like, oh, like it's so amazing how it all ties together. Like, he also has like this best friend, this childhood best friend he's like in love with, and she like takes the test to go to the school too, but she's not like put into the school, and they erase her memory, but she gives it away so like she remembers it, so she ends up practicing magic like on her own, and it's just like so amazing. Like, it's just so fun. Book I have is Bones of Ruin, and this sits at a 3.64 rating, which I think this rating should be higher. This book was so much fun. It's about a black girl who is a tightroper, and she also does not die, and so she ends up coming across this guy who like finds out her secret, and he tries to like get her to help him out because he's looking for his father. And so he also knows some things about her life and her past, because like even though she doesn't die, like she doesn't remember a lot, and so he knows some things about her, so he ends up telling her like, hey, if you help me I help you. And it's like this fun like little X-Men book because they all like have like their own powers. And there's also like a love square, which I know a lot of people don't like those. Personally, I love love triangles. I don't mind them. So love square to me like didn't really matter. Like, it was fun, but like it wasn't something where it's like, ugh, like she has 4 guys in love with her, how unrealistic. Whatever. So yeah, I absolutely love this book. I don't see why it's okay. I know why it's so low, because no one has read this book, but I think if a lot of people read this book, they would enjoy it, because objectively there's nothing wrong with this book. Unless you don't like love triangles, then like don't pick up this book. But if you don't mind love triangles, I highly recommend this book. It is so fun, the world is good, and it's a black author. Like, come on now. The book I have is Cruel Beauty, which I still have not taken my sticker. Oh, it matches my outfit. Which I still have not taken my sticker off of. But this book was like a popular book back in like 2014. I read this book for a vlog that I did where I read popular books from 2014. I believe that was the year. And this book, I wasn't really expecting to like it because it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I really only want to read it because the second book is called Crimson Bound, and that's a Little Red Riding Hood retelling. And honestly, we don't get a lot of like retellings that aren't Beauty and the Beast. Like, all of our retellings are Beauty and the Beast, and then I guess the ones that are like other retellings aren't really that fun. They don't sound that exciting. Like, I don't know, Beauty and the Beast kind of gets on like the fun stuff, and it's like, come on now. And now we went from Beauty and the Beast to Hades and Persephone, which is the same thing. But whatever. So yeah, this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I wasn't really expecting to like it because I don't like Beauty and the Beast retellings. Like, I just think that they're overdone. I actually think authors who do it are lazy and they have nothing else better to come up with, or they're simply doing it as a cash grab. Or like, I understand like some people's publishers may want them to do that, so like understand. But so I only read this one because it came out in 2014, before like the wave of Beauty and the Beast retellings came out. So I like didn't mind picking this book up. But this book is about this girl who, Beauty and the Beast retelling, so it's like, what can I say that you already like couldn't gather yourself? It's about a girl who, like, there's this guy in like the middle of the woods who takes like a prisoner every few years, and something happened with her mom, and so her dad promised her, the dad promised her to be taken by the beast in the woods, and she ends up going there and like finding out the secrets. But I really thought this book was fun because he has like a shadow self, and that shadow self was like really friendly to her, and I just thought that was really interesting because it kind of gave Peter Pan. I really think someone could really utilize that with like a Peter Pan retelling. But I thought it was like super fun. I gave it 4 stars. It's sitting at 3.65. I don't remember if I said that, and I can kind of see why. I guess I expected it to be a lot higher because it's an older book, and I'm not gonna lie, back in like the older days of booktube, people were just giving anything 5 stars. Like, that's also why I like doing that series of reading old popular books, because it's like, I feel like I would have read it back then, I would have gave it like I was still a critical review, I'm not gonna lie though. So I probably would have given it, I think I would have given it the same rating. But it's just fun to read these books and be like, this is what y'all were rating 5 stars. Next I have We Were Liars, which sits at a 3.7. And this one should be lower. It is like the worst book I've ever read, but like I see why. It's okay. So this book was like really popular on BookTube, right? And then because it came out like 2014, it was really popular on BookTube. I remember when I first joined BookTube, this book was everywhere, especially for the summertime. It was everywhere, and I just never was really interested in it because it just like was like a thriller, and I wasn't really into it. Not thriller, but like mystery thriller, and I wasn't really into that at the time. So then TikTok doesn't come around until like 2019, right? So the book dies down, and then 6 years later BookTok comes and it makes this book popular again, even though in the 6-year time frame people start to realize, hey, this book sucks, hey, this book is that good, and then BookTok comes around and ruins everything, as it always does. So yeah, we all know what We Were Liars was about. I'm surprised. I'm surprised at how low it is. I guess 3.7 isn't that low. But I'm still surprised that it's not like 3.9. Because to me, a high rating is 3.94 stars because it's very rare that a book gets that. But it's I'm surprised it's not higher. This book I have is on rotation, and this is at a 3.7 star. This book is about a girl who, it's like giving like Grey's Anatomy. Like if you want to like read a book that's like similar to Grey's Anatomy, you would want to pick up this book. It's about this girl who is in med school, and she is about to become a resident, because I know these terms because I watch Grey's Anatomy. And she ends up running into this guy on a train, and they just end up having like a fun little day or whatever. And then she ends up like, I think that like she's going to a concert with her friends, and she ends up finding out that this guy has a girlfriend who's actually one of her friends. And so then she ends up like they end up like working together as like, I can't remember if he was a resident too or not. I feel like he wasn't. They ended up like having to work together, and it's not really a romance. It's more so on like the women's fiction, which y'all know I love those. I eat those up. I love like a women's fiction book with a little bit of romance, or like that. Like I love those books where like, you think it's a romance book and you read it and it's like, this is about some 30-year-old woman finding herself. I eat those up. Okay, I love them. I think they're so fun, and those are like some of my favorite books always. So I thought I was gonna love this book, but I just thought it was like, okay. The next book we have is The Deep, which sits at a 3.79, which I think I would have thought would sit higher, but it does not. It is a like it's like a black mermaid book. I personally, I'm not giving my personal ratings for these books. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna start. Okay. So yeah, I personally gave this book 2 stars. I didn't really enjoy it. I just thought it was like really boring. I know a lot of people love this book, so like I think if Black Mermaids is something that sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend it. But I just thought it was so boring, and I listened to the audiobook. It was so quick, but I was like listening to it, and David Diggs, who plays Sebastian in the new Little Mermaid movie that's coming out this month. He also was like in Hamilton, which I've never seen, but he's in like a few other things that I've seen, so I really liked him as an actor. So he did the introduction to this, and I just thought it was like so fun and so cool and so funny, and I was like, yeah, I'm about to eat this book up. And then like we get into the book, and it didn't eat. I realized I was like halfway through the book, and I was like, dang, like where's the energy from the intro? And that's when I was just like, okay, this book just might not be for me, and that's okay. The next book I have is Once Ghosted Twice Shy, which sits at a 3.75, which honestly I would like to be higher. It's a book I gave 5 star. It's one of my favorite books I've read so far this year. It's about a girl who like works for the prince, and she had a romance with another girl like I think a year ago, and like the girl like goes to her, and so she's back in New York with her prince, and she's just like chilling, like going around New York, whatever, and she ends up running into like this girl that she had the fling with, and they end up like sparking a romance again. And I really liked it because I like the trope of like someone like being like well, technically it's a second chance romance, but I more so like the trope of like someone like getting ghosted and then a person coming back into their life and like that person like giving them a hard time because it's like, you ghosted me, like why should I let you in again? And that's mainly because I have been ghosted a lot, so it's something that I can relate to, yes, and that's why I love it. The next book I have is the Starless Crown, which sits at a 3.81, and now we're not getting into like, these are not low, like this is like pretty high, like it's average, it's like not a 4-star, but okay, I know that, but I still want to talk about the books that sit in a 3-star rating because this is my video, okay? So yes, so yeah, the Starless Crown, this book's like really fun. I read this earlier this year. I think a 3.8 is really high, not like high for this book, but it's like really high. I would like it to be like a 3.9, but I understand why it's not, because it's not that popular. Like, it's very rare that I read like a unpopular like fantasy book, to be honest, especially when it's like 500 pages, because girl, if I'm reading a 500 plus page book, fantasy book, it's gonna be something that's popular that everybody loves, so I can read as many reviews as I can, because for some reason like I cannot read a book without seeing the reviews. Even though I know that I don't agree with them, like, I have to read all the reviews first just to get a feel of like how my friends and like how other people feel about them. So it's like, if the vibes are a little bit off, I won't read it. But like if the vibes like, it's like a little bit off but like still some praise, I'll probably read it. But like if the majority of like the reviews are like 2 and 3 stars, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll hang this up. But if the reviews are like, you know, a few 5 stars, a few 4 stars, a few 2 stars sprinkled in there, I'm like, okay, I'll make my opinion on my own. But yes, this book is very like unpopular. It is a really fun fantasy book. I gave it 4 stars, I believe. I really like that the main character has a disability. She's blind, and she basically ends up predicting the apocalypse, and the king does not like that, so he's like off with her head. And it's a journey fantasy book, so she ends up like, the king's son is like one of his, like, I think it's like older son, who actually ends up being the bastard son, which I love. That he's not a bastard son, he's like treated as one though. I love the trope of like the royal family having like 2 children and one of them being like the special one and the other one being like the unspecial one. I really love that trope in fantasy. And so it has that. He ends up like, I guess, running away, and he ends up running into the main character, and he ends up running to someone else as well. And it's like a journey fantasy book, but it's not like it's not like boring or like, I don't know, they all meet pretty soon. It's not like in most fantasy books where it's like 3 different characters end up crossing paths and they cross paths like 70% into the book or anything like that. Like, no, like they end up crossing paths like early on, which I really enjoyed. I have a book on here and I do not know what the hell it is. What is this? Oh, Happily Ever Afters. Okay, so this book is sitting at a 3.83, which I love that for this book. I personally give this book just like 3 stars. And this book is about this girl who is, she moving. I can't remember her famous movie, but she ends up going to like this like high school that she's always really wanted to go to, and she has a brother, older brother with a disability, and she's going to the school. She has a crush on this boy, and she's gonna find out that he has a girlfriend. Yeah, and like she's like, it's really sad by that, but it kind of like doesn't stop her from like getting with him. And luckily it's like the trope of like when you have a crush on someone but you end up finding out that like they suck, so you end up like, there's like this other character's like been there this whole time that you end up like finally seeing once you realize that your crush sucked, which I love that trope. But I feel like in this book I kind of really didn't like it because the guy had a girlfriend, and like it's like she was just like, oh, his girlfriend is like rude person, so she clearly doesn't deserve him. Like, she didn't really say that, but it's kind of like how she was like thinking about it. And so I kind of just didn't really enjoy it. And I thought the main character was like really insecure, which it is totally fine to be insecure, and it's fine to be like, you know, in high school insecure. Like, I definitely understand that. I just feel like it was just so hard to read, having her question everything. And it's like, I get it because I overthink and I question everything, but it was just like, it was just some moments where she just automatically assumed things, and it kind of made the book like really frustrating, because it's like she would assume things like nobody ever said. And it's like, if you would communicate, then like you would understand. But I get it because she's in high school, so it's like, why would you expect that? So it's like, I understand, but that doesn't stop it from annoying me. The next book I have is How to Sell a Haunted House, which sits at a 3.83 reads. Now, as a Grady Hendrix fan, this should be lower. I thought that this book sucked, but also I'm not a paranormal girl. I don't really like paranormals. I don't do The Conjuring, not because I'm scared, just because it's like I feel like for me personally, in order for me to like a paranormal like thing, I have to experience paranormal myself, and I'm not really trying to experience no ghosts or nothing like that, but I just feel like I would have to experience it in order for me to like really get it and understand, and I just haven't. So yeah, this book is about this girl who ends up like her parents die and they give the brother the house and the sister like the mom's painting, and so the brother decides he wants to sell the house, so they have to like clean the stuff out. And so she also has like a not a great relationship with her brother, so they end up to work together to end up like cleaning his house, and then they end up finding out it's haunted. And I really liked it because it, as Grady Hendrix, like most Grady Hendrix books, they have like a commentary on something, and that's what I love about Grady Hendrix, is that all of his books have commentary. I just think that this one didn't sit well with me because it was like paranormal, and I don't really like that. And then the last book I want to talk about is Finley Donovan Jumps the Gun, and this book sits at a 3.85 rating, which honestly I feel like that's too high for this damn book, but that's just me. So this is the third book in the series, and personally I just don't really like it because, first of all, I feel like this book's like the route that it's taking I don't really like. Like it's kind of giving like propaganda, because like it took place in like a whole like police station thing, and like I just don't really like that. And then also I just feel like, I don't know, like she just got signed off, I think like a 6-book deal or something. It's like good for her, but I just had like a few issues. I talked about it with Lala and a few of my other like favorite booktubers and friends in Lala's Literally Dead book club. So if you guys want to check out that live stream, I highly do recommend it because it was actually so fun. But I have a lot of issues with this book. I realized that I don't really like the way that the main character writes children, which she kind of doesn't. Like she kind of just is like, I'm gonna have like the kids off here. Like, I don't, like you can kind of tell that the author doesn't have kids, which is kind of from someone who also doesn't have kids. But yeah, it just kind of was like, even to me it was kind of like irritating how like she wrote off the kids, and then also like the love square that they have going on, and then like the redemption of her ex-husband. It was just like so many issues that I have with this book, and I just like don't know if I want to continue on with the series. I probably need to, I don't know if I'll read the next one because I don't like road trip books. I do not do good with road trip books, so I might not even read the next one. Like this one might have been, and I know on the live stream I think I said like I will continue on with the series. That was until I realized that the next book was a road trip book. So Jumps the Gun might have been my last Finley Donovan book. But yeah, so yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know if you want to see a video where I talk about the highest rated books that I have, because I feel like I'll have more opinions on that. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video.